Hello, everyone. It's Mike from Downtown Comics, and I'm here as always with James Rossman. James, how are we doing today?
Doing good.
Good. We're going to do our weekly look at some books that we read, and these are going to be comics from the week of October 8th, 2025. So we were going to do 3 apiece, but we decided that KO, there's a little bit more to talk about. We want to do spoilers, so we do have a separate video for that. So check out our playlist. You should see a separate video just talking about KO number 1, where we kind of dissect that book. Again, spoilers, so you read the book before you watch the video. So we only have 2 books apiece today, so this should be relatively shorter than normal. So so hopefully you guys all hang out. DowntownComics.com is a place to go to check out all the new comics. Liking, sharing, and subscribing, and maybe even watching the whole thing just for watch time would be nice. So we appreciate that. All right, so we'll start with you, James. What we got?
So I got Absolute Batman number 13.
I mean, by all the covers being one character, I'm assuming someone appears for the first time.
Actually, no. No, I'm just kidding.
They tricked me.
Yeah, it's super misleading. So this, Absolute Catwoman shows up. And if I remember correctly, I think we've had references to Selina since, like, issue number 1 of Absolute Batman, I think. So I thought this was actually going to deal with a lot of like flashbacks, but it didn't. Okay. So I was kind of surprised by that. All right. In this, Selina or Catwoman and Batman are on totally different pages as far as like the whole story line of with the whole Bane arc essentially. Okay. So Catwoman knows a decent amount of like what this Bane is capable of and what he's done and stuff like that. So I think it's the Absolute Batman number 14 is, I think that's the end of the whole Bane thing. Okay. The storyline. So I think that we're going to get one big fight between Absolute Batman and Absolute Bane, which, I mean, from previous issues, that has not worked out so well for Bruce. Okay. So, and so... and then, like I said, the next issue being the last for the Bane storyline, and then we do get a lot of pieces like introduced to in this issue that'll play out probably during what I'm led to believe is going to be a big fight between them two. So there are some big spoilers in here that are exciting for this. For Absolute Batman going forward. Okay. And the cool thing is, I don't know whether, well, I'm sure they've had this in the works, but today it was announced that Absolute Catwoman is getting her own 6-issue miniseries. Okay. So sometime next year, I'm not sure when. Okay. But all
right. So what would you say, without spoiling anything, what would you say is the biggest difference between the normal cat or the, archetypical Catwoman that's in the regular DC universe and Absolute Catwoman? Like, what would be the big defining difference?
There's not a lot.
No. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of compare this to what little bit we got of Absolute Green Arrow. Okay. And where it's like, okay, well, there's really not that much difference between the two. So, I think Absolute Green Arrow, from what little bit we got from him, and Absolute Catwoman are the 2 in this universe that's like, okay, well, yeah, they're pretty much the same, you know. So a little bit different costumes, or at least for Catwoman. Yeah. So, but there's some fantastic action in this, and actually, this was before I saw that she was gonna get her own book. So I was like, oh, well, maybe she can get her own. So, and who knows, maybe that will be received so well, like a lot of the Absolute books, and then she'll just get an ongoing thing. Okay. So really liked it. All right. Yeah, really good.
Cool. All right. Yeah. My first one is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 321. So this is the Larry Hama classic. Started at Marvel, got 155 issues. Then it went from IDW from 156 up to 300. And now it's at Image with Skybound from 300. And Larry Hama is still writing this thing. And because it has a 21 at the end, now... G.I. Joe fans in the comments, I don't know for sure if 121 and 221 did this, although I think it did. 321 is a silent issue to commemorate the fact that G.I. Joe, the original number 21, was the very famous silent issue. So it's kind of one of the classic G.I. Joe comics of the whole run, is the fact that, not only did it introduce Storm Shadow, one of the big characters in the book, but there's no dialogue.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha.
So the original 21 was just Snake Eyes going into this Cobra Castle or whatever, and Storm Shadow's introduced, and there's a bunch of fighting, and then, it ends up that, Snake Eyes gets away, but no dialogue. You just look at the pictures.
Okay.
So again, for 321, they're doing the same thing. So this time, again, it is Snake Eyes, and I believe Jinx, unless there's another female ninja character that's been introduced that I don't remember. Because I don't read G.I. Joe, Real American Hero every month. I read very little of the IDW run, not for any reason. I just didn't. So anyway, just a complete one-off tale. So again, if you're just a G.I. Joe fan from maybe the Marvel days and you just wanted to read a G.I. Joe book, this is a fine one. It's just a one-shot story. I believe Dr. Mindbender, again, I'm looking at characters and trying to extrapolate, like maybe this character's been introduced in the 150 issues I haven't read, but it's also possible it's the same dude from the original run. But he's got a giant blimp, and the blimp has some sort of device on it that seems to affect the hearing of people. So he just rides it right over the G.I. Joe base and starts broadcasting. And luckily, at the time, Snake Eyes and Jinx are on the firing range, shooting guns. But they've got ear protection on.
Oh, okay.
So when this hits, all the other Joes pass out, start to go unconscious, and these two don't, obviously. And so then you get classic G.I. Joe. They grab some jetpacks, they got their ninja swords, and they go fight the blimp, and they kill Cobra ninjas, and it's just a big fight scene after that. And it's just fun. You know exactly what's going to happen. You just get to watch all the pretty pictures and stuff. Art's great. Story's easy to follow. So it does what it needs to do at the end. It's Yo Joe So it's just a good an anniversary type homage issue. So a little one-off. So
there's no captions either.
Nope.
Just, oh really?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nope. You have to just follow the pictures. Yeah. Because Snake Eyes, do you read or watch G.I. Joe?
I've
Snake
watched
Eyes
some of G.I.
okay.
Joe,
Well,
yeah.
Snake Eyes is mute. He doesn't talk. So
okay.
Yeah. So basically,
Gotcha.
it's just all pictures.
Interesting.
So,
Okay. Awesome.
All right.
All right. So next for me is Deluge #1 from Ignition Press.
Yes, you were telling me. Yeah, so they're new. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are.
So
yeah.
I think Murder Podcast is
there's
one of the first.
that
was
the
done.
first one. I think there's one called Voyeur, and then this one.
Okay.
So I think there's only 3 so far.
Yeah, no, they're relatively new.
Yeah,
I
for
know.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this takes place in a town called Sayreville, Missouri, in 1993.
Okay.
And this is taking place at a women's penitentiary. And at this facility, it's the only farming prison in the state.
Okay.
So a lot of the inmates are, outside, farming, planting seeds, stuff like that. So we meet the cast of characters mostly through the eyes of the new nurse that's coming aboard for the women's prison. And so her name's Nurse Fisher, and she's basically being walked in to the common area as the warden is telling her different things about inmates or telling her different things about certain inmates and stuff like that. So so we can see in this also where she's basically kind of getting a little overwhelmed because there's so much that this prison deals with and the caliber of people that are staying there. So she's getting a little overwhelmed because, and then there's some prisoners yelling at her and stuff like that. Stuff that you would typically think would happen.
Right.
So, but then one night it begins to rain a lot. And this penitentiary is built on a floodplain.
Okay.
So it starts flooding and it's up to ankles, mid-leg, and so the water rushes in and they start to try to evacuate the prisoners, but there's a little bit of back and forth between a couple characters where well, crap, it might be too late. And as they start evacuating, there's something else that's in the water that if you've seen the comic, that's cover A, that's what it is. The big whole worm creature type of thing.
Okay.
So but this is definitely more of a setup issue than anything, so nothing necessarily happens after that.
Okay.
So
who's writing this book?
It is Colin Bunn
Okay.
and Marika Krista.
Okay.
So
you'd classify this as what, a horror comic?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
probably. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a monster comic.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought I was like okay, well I'll give it a shot. I read Murder Podcast. I really like Murder Podcast. I didn't read Voyeur. So but
I don't even know if I ordered that book. It's not ringing a bell with me.
Yeah, I forgot Voyeur was one of them. I thought it was
Okay.
just Murder Podcast and this one, but
Okay.
yeah, they I think Ignition's trying to put out one a week or something for a little while at least. So yeah, it was a nice little, honestly for me, like it was a nice little break from the big superhero
Right.
universe. So
Sure. Okay.
yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely a setup issue.
All right.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so my last one is one of the first books in our Age of Revelation line-wide like X event, right?
Yeah.
So all the regular X titles have been canceled or stopped, and our one shot came out last week, and now the first, I think it was 5. I think it was Long Shots, Laura Kinney, Wolverine or Sabretooth, sorry.
Yeah.
Binary, The World of Revelation, which is going to be like that anthology type title where you look at all these kind of minor characters in the world and what they're doing. So, and probably more of like, what about the non-X-Men characters? What are they doing during this, in this apocalyptic time or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got that one. And then finally, Amazing X-Men, which is going to be kind of probably, bad wording, is more than likely going to be our main title to read. Okay, so if you're going to read any of them, you need to read that one, and then all the other ones kind of are just around it, because this has our 2 main characters. So you've got Cyclops as our main POV character for this event, because he's the one in the one shot whose present day mind has been grabbed and pulled into this alternate future and put into the body of the Cyclops that lives there.
Okay.
So he doesn't know what's going on, so we're following the story as he's following the story. And then, of course, there's another character that's also been pulled from the past to the present, who, again, I'm not going to spoil in case you haven't read the one-shot. So there's 2 people that have been pulled from the past to the present. One is Cyclops. And so basically this is just, it's set literally right after the end of the one-shot. So if you read the one-shot, it leads right into this one. They're on the run. They did defeat the version of Wolverine that is there, but he's very hard to kill, as Wolverine is.
Yeah.
So so you get more Wolverine, a little bit more dialogue. They do plan on, they're trying to get to some place where they can make some plans, because whatever happened went really bad at the end of that one shot, and they lost a bunch of people. And so it's just basically a race to get this device set up so they can teleport there. And you get your first view of Revelation out in the field, basically. So he's been forced to come out. And you also get your first glimpse that maybe he's not super all-powerful. Like, obviously, he's crazy powerful. But you do get a couple scenes of him that kind of mean that maybe, like, yeah, he's not unbeatable. He's not he's not ultimate, right? So, because he does have he has like a core group of henchmen, basically, and those henchmen help him power him up, kind of. So he does have to use other people to get some really powerful stuff going. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it's basically just an all action where we're getting more dialogue about what's going on in the world. And then they're racing to try and get this thing done before basically Wolverine comes and kills them all. And they do get away, but then they don't go where they were supposed to go. They go somewhere else. And then we land in, I think it's Providence, Rhode Island, I think is where they go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But there's a couple people there running the show, and it's not Providence, Rhode Island anymore. So,
of course.
So yeah. So we'll see what happens there. So that was fun. But yeah, again, in these type of events, especially if you read Age of Apocalypse back in the 90s, they throw a lot of stuff at you, and you just kind of have to follow along and figure out where everyone's place in it. But having that Cyclops character asking the same questions the reader is really helps.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, with our story and stuff. So yeah, no, that's fun.
Yeah, that's cool
It was
that
fun.
you're following the story as he is a Cyclops as well.
Yeah,
I like
so
that.
and then we'll see about the tie-ins. You know, I'll start reading those
Yeah.
and see which ones are kind of important, quote unquote, versus what are just, you know, maybe good stories but don't matter to the overall event. So we'll just see what happens. So yeah, it looks like there's about 4 a week that are coming out. So, you know, next week there'll be 4 other new ones.
Holy crap.
Well, I mean, there was for X titles, how many was there? There was Wolverine, the Laura Kenny, Phoenix, Storm, X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, Exceptional X-Men, NYX, Cable, X-Factor, X-Force. That, you know, that's 11.
Wow,
you
yeah.
know, so
Jeez.
yeah, so there's probably at least 11 different. So if it's
Yeah.
4 a week.
Yeah.
For a month, you know,
yeah.
probably anywhere between 12 and yeah, probably 10 to 15 different titles, you know, which will probably be miniseries of some sort. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
How long does this go?
I don't know, but
Okay,
usually
gotcha,
I would say 4 to 5, you know, months.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably into February, kind of like the KO.
So KO.
thing.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right.
Yep. All right. So yeah.
I think that about wraps it up for this
Okay.
video.
So
nice
yeah,
little
pretty
short
quick one. Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. We'll be back. Go watch our KO video and we'll be back with something next week.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.